And welcome back to another CBB Talk. Wow, the season's ended. And let's talk about the national championship game. Congrats to the UConn Huskies on winning their 5th national championship game and going 5-0 in 5 national championship games, destroying everyone by an average of 20 points en route to winning the national title in one of the most dominant tournament runs we've ever seen. This game kind of lived up to the expectations. Not great. It was not a great game. UConn mostly dominated this game throughout. There's a couple times San Diego State looked decent, but overall, it was just not a good game for San Diego State in this one. So let's talk about it. We can start with the San Diego State side of things. It was a good start. They came out hot with Lamont Butler starting off with a 3. I think Trammell hit a tough shot. They were getting and making shots early. And UConn, I think the game started with 8 straight shots. UConn, Jordan Hawkins made a tough shot. Sonogo was getting it down low, so it was a hot start there. And then San Diego State went cold. They weren't getting the ball in the paint. They weren't getting easy looks there, and UConn's defense kind of locked in and really started playing confident on the offensive end. Andre Jackson, didn't have an amazing game, playing the most minutes on the team. Ended up with 3 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, but he had 2 straight transition 3 assists to Tristan Newton, who was amazing tonight, and Joey Calcaterra. And this UConn team in the first half really just took control of the game there. Sonogo was a force inside there, and Hawkins wasn't amazing in that first half. I think he only had, 7 points at half. Tristan Newton was a good ball in there. He was a little sloppy early in that game, and UConn was going to more Andre Jackson bringing down the court, which I think helped the team there. And everyone played with confidence. Aline hit 2 tough mid-ranges, I believe. And then Sonogo was a dominant force down low, and San Diego State's offense just really went cold there. They scored 24 points in the first half, and it just wasn't a great first half. And I was hoping they could make it interesting the second half, and they did do that. San Diego State did force UConn into worrying a little bit in this one. Keyshawn Johnson and Ladie were really the guys that kind of started the comeback on for San Diego State. I think Keyshawn actually ended the game with the most points on San Diego State with 14. He had a big 3. I think they cut the lead inside 10, and Ladie hit a couple of tough shots, and they got the 5. And I remember my dad was almost falling asleep. I was like, "Dad, look, it's 5 points, lock in." And right as I say that, 15 seconds later, Jordan Hawkins comes off a screen and hits a tough 3. And that 3, I knew there was still 5 minutes left, but once that 3 hit, it was pretty much a dagger. It was an early dagger for UConn, because after that point, they got back up 8, and they really controlled the game throughout. And Tristan Newton had 19 and 10 there, 8 for 8 from the line. And yeah, he did have 5 turnovers. And that isn't part of, he was a little careless with the ball. San Diego State was up pressuring in that second half. And then Sonogo is just a big force down low, 17 and 10 for this one. The most outstanding player, deservingly so, was averaging 20 coming in this game, probably dropped a little bit below 20, but 17 and 10 in 30 minutes there. Klingon is just a beast on the defensive end, and he's only going to get better. Now we'll see if he's going to leave, if Sonogo stays. If I'm saying if Sonogo stay, I don't know if both of them are going to stay. If Sonogo stays, it's going to be hard for Clayton to come back for his sophomore year and just play the same amount of minutes as he did this year. So I don't think both of them will come back. I do think one of them will leave. I'm projecting Sonogo is going to be done with college, and Klingon will get into that starting spot next year, but we can look ahead in a little bit. But really, just this UConn team throughout the year was just amazing. I mean, you saw what they did to pretty much every non-conference opponent. They were undefeated in non-conference play. They beat Florida by 20, Iowa State by 18, Alabama by 15. These are teams that were good enough. And then they went through that stretch where they lost 6 out of 8 there. And I never fully backed off of them, but I do remember in the middle of the season, during this middle of January, I don't know, I may have took UConn out of my top 25 for a week or two, or a couple days, maybe a week. And then I put them back in, and I progressively kept moving them up. And I think by the end of the regular season, they got into my top 10 just for the sole reason of how they were playing to end the year, right? They won their final 5 regular season games, pretty much destroying everyone they played. They lost a tough game at Creighton, and then I thought they were going to win the Big East tournament. I picked them to do it, and they ended up losing to Marquette by 2. And for some reason, my idiot self was like, all right, I don't think UConn's gonna make a run. I had them losing in the Sweet 16, and I really wish I had them going to the Elite Eight, at least maybe Final Four. Because one, if I had them going to Elite Eight, I win my bracket group. That would have been nice. And by the fact is, I was telling myself throughout the year, UConn's that good. I was telling myself at the end of the year, early March, UConn's one of the best teams in the country. Then they lose a 2-point game to Marquette, and I don't do it. But I always got, I'm always, thinking I always got short-term memory and those type of things. And UConn deserves it, right? This team was the best team throughout the year. They finished #1 in KenPom. They rated really well. Jordan Hawkins is an NBA player. This dude's a great shooter, and I really think he's gonna have a great career in the NBA because of the way he shoots the ball. Sanogo, man, 17 points average this year was just great. Tristan Newton, ECU transfer, just had a huge game in the finish off, right? He averaged 10 points throughout the year. He's a senior, but can come back for his 5th year, and I think he should. This whole team, Alex Caravan's a freshman that plays way more experience than that. Calcaterra's really good shooter there. And this team is just deep throughout the year, man. And I did think UConn was going to win this game by more than 7. I did. I don't know what I said on the last episode, but I do know before the game, I made my picks to be UConn to blow them out. I put on my sports Snapchat story, UConn about to blow them out. And they ended up doing that. Not really a bold take, but it's no discredit to San Diego State. A great year from them. This is the best year in program history after what happened to them in 2020, not being able to compete for a national championship, after having a caliber of team that could do so. They get to the national Final Four. They get to play in the national championship game, and they gave UConn a chance. This was maybe the best team, biggest challenge UConn faced throughout the tournament, which is saying something. I would probably say St. Mary's was the biggest challenge. It was a close game at half, ended up beating them by a lot. They were down at half to Iona, but at the end of the day, UConn in the second half of pretty much every game and throughout the tournament dominated teams, and it was shown that they were the better team tonight and throughout the year. They were probably the best team in college basketball, man. And overall, this NCAA tournament was great. I have no complaints with this NCAA tournament because of the fact that it had so many just great memories, man. It started really off with just a great Maryland-West Virginia game. And then we had the Furman shot against my Virginia Cavaliers in the first round, man. So many good games. We had Iowa State scoring 41. Miami's comeback win over Drake. We had a great TCU Arizona State game. Just so many. I mean, and then we, of course, had Princeton beating Arizona and then FDU beating Purdue. That was the epitome of, in March, anything can happen, man. We saw #1 seed go down. FAU makes this magical run to the Final Four after barely beating Memphis by 1, taking down FDU, taking down Tennessee, and Marquise Noel in Kansas State was another amazing story. This tournament was one of the most unexpected ones we've seen, and a 4 seed ends up winning it all, but UConn was better than a 4. I think I had them as a 3 going into this tournament, and they end up winning it. And yes, they were a 4, but they were the #1 team in KenPom going into this tournament. I think going into the Final Four, they were the #1 team in KenPom. They didn't win their conference regular season. They didn't win their conference tournament. That was Marquette. But UConn was the best team in college basketball this year. And sometimes the best team doesn't win it all, right? I do believe this year the best team won it all. Now, in 2015, I don't think Duke was better than a Kentucky team. But they won the national championship. This year, UConn or Alabama was probably the best team, but UConn was more consistent. And the Big East, man, they're back. Next year, looking ahead, UConn's going to be back. We'll see who they bring back. If Sanogo stays, I'm guessing Hawkins is going to leave. My gosh, Andre Jackson said he's coming back, which is great to see. He needs to work on his offensive game if he wants to be an NBA player. Marquette's is most likely bringing back all 5 stars from a team that was a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. They might be my preseason #1 team. If they're bringing back their whole stars, I don't see why not. And then, of course, Creighton also could bring back all 5 stars from a team that made the Elite Eight. So the Big East right now is back, not considering Rick Pitino's coming to go coach St. John's. And how can we not talk about UConn National Championship without saying Dan Hurley did an amazing job with this team. He said in 2021, here, you want let's see, Baxter. Look, my dog. He gets a feature because he's so many episodes this year. He's walked in here and just been an annoyance. So now you're on the pod, Baxter. Anyways, Darren Hurley did an amazing job. I'm pretty sure he said in 2020, 2021 on you better get us now because we're coming. And now they're a national champion. That is just an amazing quote, one of the best of all time. And he's worked his team from being in the American Conference only, 4 or 5 years ago, getting back into the Big East, sacrificing other sports to get this program back to the elite level that they were in the 2000s, late 90s, early 2010s. And now they're back at the top of the college basketball stage. UConn's a blue blood. They're more of a blue blood than Nova. And I remember I was making a case for Nova last year, but UConn has 5 natties. That's only teams with more is Carolina, Kentucky, and UCLA. And they've done that since 1998, 99. They've done it in the last 25 years, all those championships. Dan Hurley, always was overshadowed by his family. And to do it with his dad and his brother in the stands watching his whole family and his son dribbling out the court. I mean, that's no other feeling than it's a family affair, man. That's a family. Just the Hurley family is a great basketball family. And with Dan Hurley coaching Bob Hurley Sr. in the crowd with his son dribbling out for the national championship. I mean, that's a dream right there for most people, and they lived it. And then last thing about the Final Four is Jim Nantz, man, calling it a career in the Final Four. I'm glad that it wasn't like the whole game. It was a sorrow thing. He had that goodbye. Thank you for being my friends. I mean, that almost made me. That's gonna make a grown man cry. The GOAT announcer won't be the same having a Final Four. In my lifetime, that's never happened. For a lot of people's lifetime, that's never happened where Jim Nantz is not calling the Final Four. And we're going to have Ian Eagle next year, and I'm sure he's going to do great. But it'll be weird to hear not Jim Nantz saying, hello, friends, and we're tipping off, or the all-time turnaround title, or Hurley Huskies win the championship. It's just Grant Hill, Raft, and Ian Eagle is just going to be a little difficult. But Nance is still going to be there. He's literally calling the Masters in 2 days. So at the end of the day, we're still going to see Jim Nance. It's just going to be weird with not him calling the NCAA tournament. But man, this tournament was amazing. And looking forward to next year is going to be exciting. With the NIL, there's going to be a lot more people return to college basketball, which in my opinion, that's good for the sport. I love it when we see familiar faces play. And this is going to be, I'm going to do a preseason poll. It's not going to be right after the season because I want to see the transfer portal come out. Where will all these players go? Who's coming back to college? Who's going to the NBA? Is Sheboy coming back? Is Edie coming back? Is Timmy going to come back? All these players, I need to know they're coming back. Caleb Love, where is he going to the transfer portal? LJ Cryer, where is he going? All these players that are just highly talented players. Hunter Dickinson, where is he going? These players who are in the transfer portal, where will they go, and what teams will have the strongest rosters? And I'm going to do a ranking. I damn know that Duke might be #1, though. I'm just saying if Lively or Flip Kowski comes back, they might be #1 team. They already got Proctor, Mark Mitchell. most likely Jeremy Roach and 4 or 5 stars, and they could have one other player. Duke's looking really good next year. The Big East is looking amazing next year. FAU could be back with the same team pretty much. And there's just so much exciting storylines coming in. Conference realignment. Houston's going to the Big 12 along with Cincinnati, UCF, and BYU. That's just going to be weird to see the Big 12 with 14 teams in it. Before it's the last year with Oklahoma and Texas in there. So it's going to be college basketball is going to be a different spot, and it's progressing every year, man. But I think most of it's for the better. I'm not a fan of all the conference realignment, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to adjust whether you like it or not, and I might as well be for it than against it. On Thursday, I'm doing my final 2023 college basketball video, not of the year, but of the season. The awards. It's going to be my biggest episode yet. So if you're going to watch any episode, watch that one. And then I don't know what I'm going to do after. I'll do transfer portal updates. It's probably going to be my thing. Yeah, transfer portal, the player decision updates will probably be what I do maybe once a week or so. It's going to be a little less content. I'll do some preseason rankings. Who knows in the summertime? NBA draft stuff. Who knows? But man, it's been amazing this season. I'm thankful for I don't get a lot of viewers, and I know that, but everyone that does tune in and watch these videos, man, I just greatly appreciate all you. What a season, and I can't wait to do this in the future next season. Trust me, I'll be back. Keep posting videos, man, and I'll keep trying to grow this. And I appreciate everyone for watching. Man, college basketball season's over. I'm thankful for it. A little sad at the same time. One shining moment. Go watch it. It's always amazing. People complain about it. How can you complain about one shining moment? And those one shining moment. All right, guys. Peace out.